Howdy everybody, old Gare out here at the Fishing Shack, and welcome to this week's Fishing Chums Fishing Report and Fishing Show. Kind of a strange week, guys and gals. We've had rain, we've had some wind, and but the good thing, it looks good for the next several days. So maybe we can get out and get bit. Fishing's been a little tough, but still, there's been some pretty good reports coming into the old Fishing Shack. So we have a lot to talk about. Want to thank you for being with us today, and if you're new, welcome. Always welcome new chummers, and for you folks that might have somebody out there would enjoy the show, be sure to share it. And we want to thank all the viewers last week. We had anywhere around 14,000, somewhere in that range, and thank you all very much. All right, let's get started here. Let's go out to Beaver Lake. We were out there last week and had such a great time. Beaver's a wonderful lake in northwest Arkansas. Beaver, the water temperature's been fluctuating anywhere from about 78 to 80, and I've heard even 82 degrees. Anthony Harville was out the other day down below the dam, and boy, there's been some good trout fishing. Several browns caught this last few days, but look at this nice brown that Anthony hooked. Very good job, my friend. Okay, Lisa was out a couple days ago with her husband Rich, and look what Rich caught, another brown trout. Beautiful fish. And Lisa, good to see you, kid. And of course, our buddy Richard Lee Rusher, he's been out and catching some walleye and some smallmouth bass and a lot of trout. So the trout fishing's been good down below the dam. Water temperatures down there been in the 60s, so good fishing. Lance Huey was out on the big lake at Beaver the other day, and I understand the crappie are going pretty good. The high water's got them scattered a little bit. I think you have to kind of go from one structure to the other structure to catch some fish. But the fish, as you see here with this photo with Lance, beautiful crappie can be caught out at Beaver right now. And minnows seems to be the best bet, and they have been picking up a few on jigs, but minnows seems to be the better deal. And so just get out there and hunt. You might hunt yourself up a big old mess of crappie this upcoming weekend. Now the stripers and hybrids are out on the main lake, kind of on the lower end, and they're catching some, but they're hunting for them, I understand. And so what they've been doing is drifting some of the flats and points with live shiners, live bait. The key out there, I believe, for striper fishing right now with your electronics, find big old bunches of shad. And if you see the shad, big schools of shad on your electronics, I think the stripers could be very close by. Bass fishing's been pretty good at Beaver. They've been doing some jerkbait fishing, some swim baits, and they've been using some flukes and also a little bit of a topwater bite early in the morning. And they've been picking up some fish on Ned rigs out there. And so check out Beaver for the upcoming weekend. Let's go out to Table Rock. My gosh, that water temperature is anywhere from 77 up to 80, 81 degrees. The lake is high. Watch for debris. It's kind of settling down a little bit. Water clarity is very good in the lower end mid-lake area. And there's been some pretty good bass fishing out there. Not great, but it's not bad. In fact, my buddy Jordan Lear was out a couple days ago, and he and his friend, look at a couple of these photos. They picked up some smallmouth and some Kentuckys, and boy, good fishing out there. Jordan related he was catching his fish on swim baits, and they've been picking up some fish out on Table Rock off those big long gravel points. Don't overlook the Ned rig, and also they've been picking up some fish on some swim baits. You find some shad swim baits and maybe even a jerkbait bite going out there. And along the shoreline in that the brush and the willow trees or whatever you can find, don't overlook floating plastic worms. And I tell you something I like to use in high water. I like to use a good bait like a little miniature swim bait like a grub. Use like an 1/8 or a 1/4 ounce jig head with a 4-inch grub. I love that red flake smoke, and also smoked salt and pepper. And they've been picking up some fish around some of the docks too, jigging, and shaky heads have been pretty good out there as well. So Table Rock looks good. Not too much to report on walleye. I'm going to go out there this afternoon and kind of check the walleye out. But they have been picking up some crappie around some of the docks, and they're more scattered with the high water, more in the timber right now, down around 20 feet of water if you do find any crappie out at Table Rock. overall it looks pretty good. You know, you have to, it's not great, but you can go out there and search them out. A little of them, like I said, a little topwater bait early morning, poppers. It seems like poppers are good as anything out there right now. Let's go out to Lake Taneycomo. The water temperature is around 48 degrees. They've been picking up some fish out there, drifting, and it seems live bait is good right now. It seems like maybe you want to drift just a night crawler combination, and if they're finicky, go to a half a night crawler, drift it along, and live minnows have been good as well. So I mentioned here a couple of weeks ago, little Cleo spoons are paying off, something with a little bit of a flash. I like a Cleo spoons, the chrome, of course, with the blue stripe. That always seems to work good for me on Lake Taneycomo, and they have had some reports on some bigger fish being caught on some trolling baits and some jerkbait type baits out of Taneycomo. But don't overlook Taneycomo for the upcoming weekend. Okay, let's go out to Bull Shoals. Water temperatures anywhere from 77 to 80 degrees. It's fluctuated. We had that rain come in and that cool weather, I believe, on Wednesday. And I tell you what, you know, when a good guide, you have a good guide. Dale Colvin was out on Wednesday, and the water is just about up to 40 feet high out at Bull Shoals, and the wind Wednesday was like 25 to 30 miles an hour. He had a family out. Look at this photo. Hey, it doesn't bother a good guide. He got his clients into some great bass fishing out at Bull Shoals. Bass fishing can be good. A lot of water problems. You got to fight for a place to put in. But you can get out there this weekend, look for a little topwater bite. It's not great, but there's a little topwater bite. Poppers, like a popper, has been doing good. Some frogs maybe. And they've been picking up some fish on the points and secondary points. You find some shad out there, schools of shad, jerk baits, swim baits, and they have been picking up a few fish on Ned rig and drop shot. You might look at a drop shot out there this weekend. Not too much to report on crappie. A few crappie can be caught, but when you do find them, they're really nice size out there in the brush piles, looking around 20 feet of water. And the walleye fishing, not bad, not great, but they have been going down to the lower end right now, fishing off those big deep points, using our electronics, kind of scooting back and forth and finding any kind of action. And then they've been going to a nightcrawler harness. Some people have been trolling a flicker shad out there, or flicker minnow, number 7, and picking up a fish on occasion as well. By the way, don't overlook that grub out at Bull Shoals too. That salt and pepper grub, or smoked with a red flake, quarter-ounce jig head out in that deep water, pitch it out, count it down, swim it in. That could be good for bass too out at Bull Shoals. Okay, let's go out at Stockton. Stockton might be my pick choice for a lake for the upcoming weekend. My gosh, they've been catching some nice fish out there at times at Stockton. That's just such a good lake. The lake's a little high, water temperature's around 76, 77, and Fish-A-Lanny guide service. How about that? Now here we are with Leonard and Amber Cutbirth. They have a nice guide service out there, and look at these photos they caught this week out at Stockton. Beautiful, beautiful crappies. They're doing good out there. Once in a while picking up a walleye as well. So Fish-A-Lanny, I love that guide service out. Great name, that's for sure. And George Stark from Stark Guide Service. Boy, look at some of the crappie he caught this week. Look at this mess of fish. Good quality crappie too. So those boys and gals are catching some fish out at Stockton. Daniel Crum was out the other day, picked up this beautiful walleye. Good going. We'll be talking about where they're catching these fish. And my buddy Jeff Deckard had a party out the other day, and look at these beautiful crappie. And he's been using that Arky crankbait and doing a little spider rigging. Boy, he knows how to do that. And they are picking up some nice crappie out at Stockton. Okay, I've heard up the Big Sac River Arm's been pretty good for crappie. I've heard deep water, shallow water, kind of mix it up a little bit, do a little hunting for them. But if you do get into them, even out on the main lake, you can catch quality fish, as we just showed you here. The walleye, there's catching some walleye out there. They have to hunt for them. Some days a little slow, other days, boy, you hit a jackpot. And they're all still down at that lower end, and they're trolling flicker shads. And you never know what you catch when you know what you're going to hook up with out at Stockton when you're trolling that flicker shad. It might be crappie, it might be white bass, but the main goal is walleye, and they've been picking up several nice walleye this week, and of course using a jig and night crawler or a horsehead and night crawler combination. Maybe just try a half a night crawler and start off the points, start deep, maybe 30, 35 feet of water, and we'll use your electronics, kind of zigzag those points. When you see those marks on there, boy, get back there and fish it, either flicker shads or just do some jigging or drifting with a horsehead night crawler or a jig and night crawler. Boy, I tell you, Stockton looks good to me for the upcoming weekend, that's for sure. Bass fishing been pretty good out there as well. They've been picking up some fish on, Carolina rigs, I understand. They've been picking up some fish on crankbaits, and I've had some pretty good reports of some nice fish being caught on swim bait. So check it out at Stockton this weekend. Okay, hey, here we go out at Pomme de Terre. Don't overlook Pomme de Terre as well. There's been some nice crappie caught out there this week. Out at Pomme, the water temperatures got creeped up there a little bit, around 77 to 79 degrees. How about this name? Andy Williams was spotted on Pomme de Terre the other day. Love that name. Andy Williams, look at this photo. Really got in some nice crappie. And, of course, our old buddy Eric Massey was out. Now, look at this photo. This was a beautiful photo. Really quality fish. And I've had both reports of some crappie being caught in 15 to 20 feet of water, and I've had some reports of 8 to 12 feet of water. Mix that up. Minnows are real good out there, and some people are using jigging minnows. So Andy Williams and Eric Massey really got into the crappie. And let's go to our photo of the week. My golly molly, how about Chris Patton? Oh boy, look at this nice muskie he caught, and he's a chummer. Eric's a chummer, and we always love to have our photos from our chummers. But Chris Patton sent me this photo. He said this was the fish of his lifetime. Beautiful muskie, probably went around 20 pounds, he said. Beautiful, beautiful fish, and I know he had a battle bringing that fish in. So this is our photo of the week out at Pomme de Terre, Chris Patton. Good going, chummer. Wow, what a beautiful fish. What a beautiful fight that had to be. And so I talked about the crappie out there. Try a little shallow and deep, but I'd probably go 15 to 20 feet of water. Minnows is good. And if you do get into them, you can really cash in. Bass fishing's been fair. I've heard of a little topwater bite out there in the mornings, and they've been picking up some fish on crankbaits, and floating plastic worms are still good out at Pomme de Terre. Let's go out to Truman. The water temperature is 77 degrees out there this morning. And Bob was out the other day, Pfeiffer, and look at this nice crappie. He was doing some crankbait trolling out at Truman. And Kyle Simmons, he went out at Truman the other day, he and his buddy, at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they had their limit by noon. Beautiful. Look at these beautiful crappie as well. So crappie fishing can be good at Truman. I do understand with the higher water right now, the water dirtied it up just a little bit back in the creek arms, but it's kind of spread the crappie out a little bit. But this is when I like to go tree hopping out there, and brush piles and cedar tree hopping, just go one to the other, and just get that minnow down there, jigging minnow right on the edge of that tree or the brush or cedar trees or the old standing timber. Boy, that can be good. As you can see here, they're catching crappie out at Truman. And I've had some pretty good reports of some bass fishing at Truman. They've been picking up some fish on Carolina rigs. I've had reports of floating plastic worms and big plastic worms too, big like 8 or 10 inch plastic worms, and the dark color's been good out at Truman. And once in a while they're getting some hybrids out there. Haven't had too much to report on walleye yet and that KK Island yet, but that's any time. Okay, let's go out to Lake of the Ozarks, 78 degrees out there. And Eric Webster and Ken Miller was out in the Gravel's Arm the other day, and they picked up their limit of crappie by shooting small jigs up around the corner of the docks. And these are beautiful fish, good going, Eric and Ken. And they picked up some really quality limit of fish out there, 2 limits, he and his buddy. Stephen Bull was out the other day and looked some of the crappie he caught. Look at this one. Man, that's a big old crappie out at Lake of the Ozarks. So the pattern for the crappie at the Lake of the Ozarks, don't overlook the docks and they've been picking up some fish on some of the brush piles out there, and about 15 to 20 feet. They're getting a little bit deeper. If you get in the right brush pile at the right time, get that jig and minnow down there, you can catch some nice crappie out of the Lake of the Ozarks. Okay, let's go out to Norfolk. That water temperature is a little warmer out there, 84 degrees, up in the 80s now. Wow. And they've got a lot of water out there, but the striper fishing's been fair. I understand early in the morning off some of the flats, you get out there at dark 30 and you can see some popping action on the top, and you might be able to catch some fish on the surface. Other than that, get down around 20 feet of water, use your scanners, use your electronics, find schools of shad, and with some fish around it, you could have some good fish on spoons, fishing for stripers on spoons, and also they've been using some live bait out there as well. Bass fishing's been good out at Norfolk. They've been using some floating plastic worms. They've been using a little bit of a topwater bite early in the morning, poppers or maybe some spooks, and they've been picking up some bass on Carolina rigs and some big plastic worms, so don't overlook that at Norfolk. And the crappie fishing slowed down a little bit. The old boys who know what they're doing out there are getting out in some of the brush piles in about 20-25 feet of water. And you might try less, but around 20-25 feet of water on minnows and kind of doodle socking the brush piles. Not a bad report. You know, we've had some rain, we've had wind, and it's been kind of a mess. But overall, not too bad a report. And so I think you can get out this weekend and get bit. And we want to thank you, chummers, for being with us. Spread the word. Tell your friends about us. And for you people that's viewing us over on YouTube, we love our YouTube people. A lot of you people went over to Facebook. That's okay. But if you want to look us up on YouTube, go to Fish and Chums Fishing, and be sure to like and share. And Kathy put it up there. Boom, subscribe. And if you'd like to send us any photos on the Fish and Chums over on the YouTube, go to our email. Email us at fishandchums@gmail.com. And for all of our great friends over on Facebook, God bless you. There's thousands of you over there every week tuning us in. We want to thank you very much. Be sure to like and share. And we want you to join our group, because that's a fast way to get photos to us. If you go to our Fish and Chums on Facebook group, and you can just send us photos and enjoy all kinds of activities. We kind of talk back and forth and have a lot of fun. So join us over there. And thank you, all you Fish and Chummers over on Facebook. Well, it looks like we're going to have some beautiful weather. Hey, the lakes are high. Watch for the floaters. But overall, I think it's going to be a great weekend, and the next several days are going to be great. So this is a good opportunity for you to get out and get bit. And if I don't see you out on the lake this weekend, I want to see you right back here next week, right here on Fish and Chums. Love all you guys. Be safe this weekend. Now, Kathy, roll all those great photos.